Tam Khan is Andrew Tate's best friend. I opened Instagram today and I saw that Tate's being released tomorrow. What's going on? I found the best therapist in Dubai. She's gonna give you live therapy. Wanted to ask you at this moment, right now, are you happy? You never had any mental health issues?
I have a little twitch. When I'm fidgety, if I have a pre-workout, I'm like, people think, is he on cocaine? I'm like that.
Tam, if you have anything, now that you have a doctor in front of you, if there's any questions you were wondering.
People don't care, only the true ones. So be around your family, loved ones, work as much as you can, as hard as you can. By the end goal, what is meant for you will be. A lot of these Instagram muscles are fake. They're all filtered, they're not look like they are, they're not as tough as they are, they're not as big as they are, the women too.
What was the story of your first million? How did you make it and how did it feel?
Me having $1 billion or $100 million, it's gonna be the same. Saddest moment. There's no feeling. Money, women, private jets. Trust me, when you beat a man who's trained 6-7 months to beat your ass, you beat him up and you're on top of that ring. It's like you're in the gladiator's pit.
Welcome back to the show and thank you for returning back to the channel, the Ahmed Mahmoud Show, where we discuss business, self-improvement and happiness. Guys, before we start anything, we have Tam Khan here. Tam, thank you so much for joining us today.
Pleasure, Ahmed, for bringing me so early on a Ramadan day. I'm joking. It's a pleasure. I've always wanted to be on your podcast, so it's good.
No, bro, I've always wanted to have you on. And we have, first of all, we have to talk about one thing. I opened Instagram today and I saw that Tate's being released tomorrow. No. What's going on?
Where did
Everyone's saying
that?
Friday.
Yeah.
Tate tweeted Friday. You know, you posted Friday. What's going on?
So Friday, which is tomorrow, but I'm not sure when this airs.
Maybe tonight.
Yeah, maybe tonight. It's going to be his appeal for his release of bail. So inshallah, I've got a feeling it could be a good one. It doesn't mean release from the case, but at least get him home or home arrest.
Okay.
Purely because there's no official charges, they have nothing still, and they're detaining them for no real reason. So we're hoping tomorrow there's good news on that side, inshallah. And the legal team have said there's no reason why not. But he
got rejected a few times already, so why this time are they so confident?
Because I think as more time goes and there's no new evidence, no stronger evidence or nothing brought to the table, I think like in Romania, as in where America and UK is, the prosecution have to bring something new to cope. If they're bringing nothing new or no extra evidence or anything, then it's like you can go to the judge and say, look, okay, we've been playing ball. We've been here the 3 or more months in jail. You've denied everything. At least let us have house arrest or whatever. You can ban us, travel ban, or have us on a metal tag detector, whatever. So I think we're hopeful, inshallah. It could be good news.
All right. So, guys, that's about Andrew Tate, if you guys didn't realize. So, Tam Khan is Andrew Tate's best friend, one of his. And that's crazy. I just saw that now and I was like, this is like emergency announcement. We have to talk about something before we get into everything else. For this podcast, so a lot of you guys know the type of podcast we do here on the show. You know, you've probably seen many episodes before. For this podcast, we have a twist. You're probably wondering why the seat is empty. We have a special guest. So, basically, how it works normally is I sit with the guest and basically I pick his brain. And you have no idea where this is going, yeah? Yeah,
this is some kind of setup in Ramadan. I swear. It's only 3 of us in this room and, you know.
No, it's not bad.
No, I'm joking.
So basically, the point of this podcast is for me to pick your brain, right?
Okay.
So I was wondering, who's the best person to pick someone's brain? And after a lot of thinking, the best person I was thought of was a psychologist.
Don't tell me.
So I found
Don't tell me we've got
therapist, best psychotherapist in Dubai. She's an author. She has a PhD. She's licensed psychotherapist and suicide interventionist. And
I heard she is a psychopath herself.
No.
Is her name beginning with S?
No,
this is going to be a clip.
No, you don't know her. You don't know her.
Oh, it's not the one I think?
No.
Okay, good. That's no offense then. I'm joking. That's a little dig at an old friend.
This one is, like, she's an author. She's done big talks on many shows, like, extremely, like, professional, actual, real therapist, you know? She's done it for 15 years. So I have a whole bio on her, which I'll introduce, and she's right outside this door.
Okay.
And basically, the point is that she's going to give you live therapy.
I'm not a big fan of therapy. This is weird. I feel like, what am I, Tony Soprano having a shrink? This is your life, you're bringing my mum outside. I was a bully child or something.
You're going to open up a bunch
I feel like I'm still dreaming, bro. Wake me up on Fajr. What am I doing?
No, but basically, she'll just she'll ask the right questions to get to know you deeper, you know? And because obviously I can ask good surface level questions, but she has really good questions that really will help us understand you as a person more, your background, the events that happen in your life, and how they
I could play a trick on her just for the guests, because she's not seen this yet, and just play ice cold and just stare at her for 30 minutes. It could be real funny content. I could play a game for the first few minutes. I'll do that. Okay. I'll be really awkward. So you guys know I'm going to be socially awkward. I'm not arrogant, but I'll just do it to tease her a bit.
All right.
So we can play a game back on you.
Okay. All right, guys. I'm going to let her in.
Hi. How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Hi. Dr. Thorayia, how are you?
Hello. Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to
How
meet
are
you
you?
as well.
Guys, so this is Dr. Thorayia. And Dr. Thorayia has a PhD in clinical psychology as well as 2 master's degree in counseling and educational psychology. She's a Canadian and UAE licensed psychotherapist and a Canadian licensed suicide interventionist, which is very interesting. She has been featured in many magazines all across the world, newspapers, as well as presents different psychological topics on radio shows and TV channels. She has conducted many workshops and presented seminars on various topics pertaining to psychology and mental health. She currently has over 15 years of experience in the field of psychology and mental health. Doctor, very big pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you coming here and taking the time today. So basically, I'm sure a lot of the times you have come on podcasts. We've asked you questions, and today we want to hear your guidance on several kind of mental health topics as well. And we have here Tam Khan. So to let you know, this is Tam Khan, very, very famous internet personality.
I'm not at all, but anyway.
And business owner and movie star, etc., etc. And he's also like the star guest on this show. So basically, I was thinking that as an interview on the talk show, I can ask questions to Tam, right? And they can be good questions, but they're like surface level questions. And I was hoping that with your help as well, because you have so much expertise in this field, you could also be able to help me with the right questions to ask, you know? Because obviously, you know, I can hear an answer and I can think a little bit of it, but if you hear an answer, you can obviously dive deeper into that. And I feel like this will make it a lot more interesting. So this was like the pretense of the show, that where we do this on constant basis, like me and you as a team, and basically we dissect and we basically dive deep with many different stars that we'll have on the show, movie stars or internet personalities.
Okay. Sure, I think.
I hope I don't accept any crimes I've done in the past due to her. I'm joking. It's like a joke.
So yeah, so Tam, first question we want to ask you today, before we look into your story and your upbringing and your life, wanted to ask you at this moment, right now, are you happy?
Yeah, alhamdulillah. I'm happy last week, last month, every day.
Every day?
Every day I wake up, I'm happy, see my children, alhamdulillah, blessed. Walking, have all my limbs. A little ugly, a little overweight, but alhamdulillah, everything's good.
Overweight, bro, come on, you're in amazing shape.
I'm wearing, this is a trick, guys, big thobes, which are double XL, and it hides the body shape.
Doctor, how are you today? How's Ramadan been treating you? How's Dubai?
Good. It's very peaceful during the month of Ramadan, which is really nice.
Yeah, work hours are less as well. People are more focused on God.
People are less angry, yeah? Less stress, less road rage. More patience.
I actually don't see that here.
No?
I see people right around like about an hour before iftar. People are usually driving a little bit recklessly.
They should, as in, because part of the fast is not just fast, starve yourself, be good, charitable, your character, calm it down, no swearing, you shouldn't do that anyway, but I'm just saying people should be more peaceful.
Fast from all these bad vices.
Bad vices.
So yeah, it's interesting. Are you Muslim as well, doctor? Sorry, I didn't ask you.
Oh, I don't usually answer personal questions anyways.
Okay.
Even if you were to ask.
That's my go-to question, is answer for everything they ask me.
Yeah, okay. So, but yeah, during iftar time, man, when you're on the road, it's crazy because like obviously people just want to get home, rush to eat. We've all been there. So yeah, I mean, this is my first time doing a podcast without any caffeine or, food. You look so tired as well.
No, I'm okay. But I'm not really a big caffeine lover, but I prefer podcasts later on in the day purely because I've got more energy or I can think more. But it's okay. It's all good.
Yeah. Doctor, I have a question. There's an internet personality. His name is Andrew Tate. Have you heard of him?
I have heard some people have told me some things about him. I don't really follow a lot of influencers or do a lot of social media in general.
Yeah, okay.
That's a good tip to give to everyone.
Social media is toxic.
Well, I wouldn't say it's toxic. It has its benefits, definitely, but I think it's how you use it that makes a very big difference. And I think in general, social media has led to a lot of people experiencing depressive symptoms and anxious symptoms because of the fact that they compare themselves quite a bit to other individuals. Whereas, social media is also great in connecting people with each other, especially if you don't see each other very often and so on and so forth. So
I agree with you 100%. Like, comparison is the thief of joy. If you're all, like, especially stories. Imagine you're in the office and lifetime you're watching stories of people, they're on a beach, they're traveling, and you're just comparing yourself in real time to what someone else is doing at that same moment, And if they're posting stories, the chances are they're doing something interesting, because they wouldn't just be posting doing something boring. So at that time, you just keep seeing, like, everybody having more fun than you. And
I think also people, they might not be even having fun. They post, they want to show you what they want to show you. They're not showing you sometimes the truth. They just want to show you what you think you want to see. Like a lot of these female influencers, they show these unattainable bodies and this and that, and they put women under pressure when it's all filtered. They don't even look like that, a majority of them. Like, I'm in the fitness industry.
Catfish.
And yeah, whether it's catfish or not, but it's just unattainable. So the normal everyday Joe who wants to go, or lady who wants to go to the gym, she feels pressure. She has to look size 6, this, boat looking like a fish, and it's unfair. Like, it's not real anyway, Yeah. She doesn't know they've tampered, this and that. They work every day. Their life is paid to do that as a job. So it pressures these girls to looking like that. That's why you see girls, when I was younger, no one used to wear makeup. At 13, 14, girls were still simple. Now they're doing twerking at 12, 13, trying to be Kim Kardashian. The guys think they're Andrew Tate, trying to drive fast cars, trying to buy fake watches, act all macho. So social media, in a way, sometimes influences people to be something they're not. And these influencers don't take enough responsibility because they just want to get paid. They put this thing out there and go, be like this. This is this, this is this, this is confidence, this is hot, this is not. And I think that's where it goes wrong a lot nowadays.
Well, I think, with some individuals, they're trying to make a difference. They're trying to put out information that's actually accurate. But I think you're absolutely right. There's a lot of content on social media that's extremely inaccurate. And it's not just affecting young girls. I think it's affecting young boys as well, because there's a lot of videos of men who are at the gym all the time and, they're eating specific things and not eating other things, and just this pressure. I mean, I don't know anything about Andrew Tate, but I know a bit of information here and there. But
it's his
even
best friend,
that,
by the way.
Okay.
Yeah. We're close friends.
Okay.
I don't think he has a best friend. His best friend is his brother. But
in general, I think there's this idea of this toxic masculinity, and in general, any type of extreme form of anything, I think, is not healthy. I think on some level we need to talk about moderation in life, and we need to think of how to accept who we are and really be okay with our existence, regardless of the fact that other people may not necessarily like us in the way that we want them to. And I think social media plays a very big role in that, where we look at other individuals and we say, I wish I could be like that. Whereas, in fact, if we look at ourselves and we say, what are the things that I would like to change about myself for me, not for other people? Things that match my value system, things that match the things that are important to me, my family, my work, my love, whatever it is in life. And I think that's what we're missing. We're missing this idea of really being present and being understanding of who we are rather than who everybody else is and how we want to be like them.
Yeah, I think as a society, people, it's fashion trends, like the sheep kind of mentality. So someone might want to be themselves, but they feel if they wear or dress like that, they're going to be ousted. Oh, you're like a nerd, or you're like a hipster, or I don't know. Like, the terms are, I'm a bit old now, but even like I think the term toxic masculinity has been. I don't know who brought this term. I think when I was growing up, for example, I'm a bit older than everyone here. In the 80s, you'd have He-Man, Hulk Hogan, Stallone, Rambo. The girls would have Barbie. I'm just saying. It was just normal. It's like the guys would.
By the way, I was born in the 80s as well.
Okay.
So
no. I really look like I was. So I'm just saying, so I'm just saying, so nowadays times have changed, the fashionable things have changed, like you said, the trends. And nowadays when you try and say to God, what's wrong with like wanting to be this, that, they label it toxic, which I don't understand why it's toxic if someone wants to be masculine. Whoever wants to be feminine, masculine, whatever you want to be, but like, why do we have these terms toxic so people feel afraid to be what they want to be, like you said, you know?
Well, I think the idea behind the toxicity is the extreme form of it. So there's no such thing as a person who's not masculine and a person who's not feminine. Every single human being, and this is one of the most significant contributions that a very famous psychologist, Carl Jung, had discussed, is that we all have the feminine and the masculine within us. Everybody. And the masculine is a very important piece for all males, right? And that's important as well. But they also have to tap into their feminine as well, which is their emotions. Because whether they like it or not, they're also human, which means they have emotions and they have to tap into that. You know, we see men constantly, they are 2 times more likely to commit suicide than any other gender. And why is that? Is because a lot of individuals don't want to talk about their feelings because they think it's not masculine enough. But actually, on the contrary, it takes a lot of courage and strength to be able to talk about your feelings and to be able to talk about things that bother you or things that affect you, and not always feel like you have to be this image that isn't accurate, which is this alpha male for some reason. And being tapped into your masculinity doesn't mean that you don't provide. It doesn't mean that you don't give. It doesn't mean that you're not the man of the house. It just means that you can also tap into a different part of you that is also a little bit softer. And we see that in animals. I mean, it's really funny to me to see a lot of people who talk about this idea of masculinity in men. They forget that comes from animals. Like, we actually look at that from a sense of animals and see the alpha male in terms of wolves, and see how the wolf takes care of the rest of the pack, and he's actually the one in the back because he's protecting the rest. But what we don't see is actually that softer side of the alpha male as well. And as humans, for some reason, it's kind of gotten lost in the mix, where a lot of men are thinking, oh, if I tap into any of my emotions, then I am soft or I'm weak.
Yeah, I'm not. No, I think you're right in a way. When you're feminine side, looking after family, like my daughters, I've become so. When you have kids, there's a softer side of a man, like it's protection. But what I think with this whole thing, what you mean is, you see, for example, men feel this pressure. If a man is this whole, like, you can be emotional, I think they take it the wrong way when they go over the top. So women nowadays kind of think like, he's soft for me. You know, it's a two-way thing. So a woman will see a man who's always soft, you know, how are you feeling today? Are you feeling okay? She'll be like, I didn't date you or want to be with you. I want the man who's protects you. So yeah, there's a level in hierarchy. A feminine side of a man, maybe they're giving the one who's caring, where are you going at night, protection, sees kids hugging them. You know, there's scales, like differences in the sexes, like you say. And
that's the essence of toxic, is just you're living in too much of an extreme. Obviously, we don't want any person that's way too much on either side. Either somebody who's so emotional, be it female or male, that they're so emotional that they can't even function, or they're constantly talking about emotions and they're kind of drowning and getting sucked into this black hole of emotions. That's also equally unhealthy.
Of course.
But that toxic masculinity is this idea that you just deny emotions. You completely ignore the fact that there is this softer side to you. And so that's what makes it toxic. It's not the idea of like, oh, you have to be soft. No, but just be you without putting pressure on you to be something different.
Yeah, sure. I maybe, yeah, you're right. Like, I think there's two. You've got the toxic masculinity, toxic feminism. They're both extremes in what they do. I think feminism. I've got daughters. I like to think they should be equal. I want my daughters to be the best at whatever they do. But there's this toxic, extreme feminism now, which has just gone over the top. It's just everywhere. And I want to defend. I want to like keep them away from this kind of new. We don't need a man. You know, like this has gone crazy too. Like this extreme feminist movement. For me, it's one of the most dangerous movements out there, I feel.
What do you think about that, Doctor?
Well, I mean, I think the idea behind feminism has been extremely misunderstood and then taken, like most things in this world, that has been hijacked into something completely wrong. I mean, if you talk about the origins of feminism, it basically just means to have equal like rights and equality amongst both genders. Yeah, that's it. That's exactly what it was supposed to be. Sure. So what it's turned into now has been something very strange, but in reality, I mean, being a feminist means that I respect a man in the same way I respect a woman. And I expect a man to respect me in the same way he respects another man. That's exactly what that means. That it doesn't mean that I'm better than, I don't need. We're social creatures. We all need each other. There's no such thing as a woman who doesn't need a man or a man who doesn't need a woman. We all need each other because we are social creatures. And before we had the organization of civilization, we used to take care of each other. That's actually where the phrase "it takes a village to raise a child" comes from, is this idea that we work together. So this idea of hyper independence, where we don't need anybody, is actually very toxic, if you will, for any individual.
I think you're right. The aspects of the family, the community, that it's dying out. It's like they don't want to push this agenda more. I find the same thing. The man, the woman, for example, the white picket fence, the kids, the community, knowing your neighbor, borrowing sugar next door. That whole kind of lifestyle's gone. It's totally individual.
We don't talk to our neighbors anymore. I don't even know my neighbors.
It's very weird. It's very, I'm against you, you're against me, I have my views. It's very strange time of life.
Interesting. Doctor, also, I wanted to ask you, obviously this is the first time we're speaking ever.
Yes.
But I have heard a lot about you. Also, I was a student in Middlesex University growing up.
Ah, okay.
And you came there a lot. You had like...
Well, I teach at the university, so yeah.
Ah, okay. Yeah. So I remember there was some seminars where it was held there, and I remember seeing the flyer. I wasn't able to attend that day, but I remember like I checked a bit out on you. It was like a few years ago. And I looked a bit into you and stuff. So I wanted to ask you, do you still do like therapy anymore, or is that something you stopped doing? Because now I know you're like an author and stuff. So do you still have your own clients?
Oh God, no, I'm not an author. That's not what I am in any way, shape.
An author.
No, I'm not. I wrote a book, and my friends call it a long essay, which is pretty much what it is. It's just something I've had on my bucket list, and I've always wanted to do, and so I self-published it. It's nothing fancy.
No, but you know you're an expert on something where you can write a
No. It's really not a book. Like, you have to see it. It's just it's a very thin, like, hard-covered essay. I think my dissertation was longer than the book. I'm actually a clinical psychologist, so I practice every day, and I see clients on a daily basis. I teach at the university. I also work with the Abu Dhabi government in terms of early childhood protection, and I supervise future psychology interns. Like, that's my bread and butter. That's what I really enjoy.
Psychotherapist I could find, or like
no, I'm not even close to the best. It's just, I think every person is different, you know, like clients connect with their therapists, and so it doesn't matter. I mean, I don't know what would constitute the best therapist anyway, but I think everybody has their great qualities, and the clients will like you if they click, right?
Nice.
So that's essentially what we're looking for.
So I have a question. I've never done therapy, and it is something that I want to look into at some point, right? And I feel like it was kind of taboo back in the day, but I feel like nowadays, especially with more publicity on men's mental health and mental health in general, more people are feeling able to talk about it publicly. And therapy is now kind of seen as something good, you know? I'm not saying that everybody needs it, but I'm saying like it is good. If you have issues, sometimes you need to talk to an expert, you know what I mean? Same way like when you're sick, you go to a doctor, you know what I mean? So what are your thoughts on that? And also, I want to ask you, like when you're sitting with someone and let's say you're doing therapy, how does that conversation go? What are the questions you kind of ask?
Oh, wow. That's
it's a very loaded question.
It's a very tough question.
It depends who you're sitting with.
Yeah, it depends on who I'm sitting with, what the presenting problem is, what they're experiencing, how they are. I mean, it's a very hard question to answer, but I would actually say everyone requires therapy, but not from, not everybody has what we call like clinical difficulties, right? Things that are quite extreme. But I think it's nice to talk to somebody that has no investment into your life, and it's a complete kind of objective perspective.
Holistic.
And they give you a perspective that you wouldn't necessarily think of. I mean, one of the biggest misconceptions about psychology is that we give advice. We don't. Because there are two main reasons why I don't give advice. Number one, I don't want people to keep coming back to me. That's not the point of therapy. And number two, I mean, if they take my advice and something bad happens, I'm to blame, right? So the idea is I'm trying to get people to find the resources within them, to get them where they want to go. But I think everybody can benefit from talking to someone every now and then. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
What do you think?
Yeah, honestly, I'll be honest, she's here. I wasn't a big fan of the whole I think at one point, but it was pushed like, you need to see a therapist, you need this, you're stressed, you need to see someone, speak to someone. I was anti. I was like, no, why? Like, I'll speak to someone neutral who has no care. They're going to be, whether example is relationship or marriage counselling, a lot of people get, you're thinking, they're not going to be biased, is it a woman or man? And you just have this misconception. It's unfortunate. Like, you think, they're going to be biased, they're going to say you're this, you're that. So at first I was like, I don't need to. But like, when you research, it's the taboo the media have given it. So I totally understand it. I think some of the time it could just be an ear for someone to speak to, for a lot of people who are not, like you said, don't have that community, family unit. It depends on everyone. Like you said, it's hard to judge who she speaks to. It could be an extremely masculine man who's very close but will open himself to her, or someone who has no family, or someone who's going through a divorce, or it could be anything. But yeah, like if it works, of course, I think it's good. I think it's good because it's a neutral person speaking to you, maybe in a different, unbiased way. It could help many people. And like, there's many ways of therapy. I'm not sure if she'll agree, but people use yoga, meditate. Some people pray. For me, praying in the Quran. Like, everyone has their own vice, which when they're stressed, it helps. So I know many
coping mechanisms.
Yeah, I know many who've been to therapy for years before people knew about it. Like you call it a shrink, unfortunately, in the West, but they'd use it. And he's a big CEO, and it helps him a lot. He'd just go to vent all his stress and talk about things, and he just wanted to talk to someone regarding no business, nothing. It was like this. So yeah, I think for sure.
Someone who has no agenda. You know, sometimes when you ask your friends for advice, they'll give you what benefits them. Or you ask, let's say, a parent, and obviously they want you to be a certain way. So, but sometimes you want an outside perspective that has no agenda with you at all, you know, that doesn't care whatever you do, you know?
Yeah, and I think they let you speak. Majority, I've not done from what I've read about it in a study, that they'll let you just open up. They'll listen to you and then speak around what you're speaking. It's not really a questionnaire. It's like, okay, how are you doing today? What are you doing? And then they let you open up, and from there they'll know how to heal each wound or touch. I think people have this misconception. It's like you're sitting under this one light and she's going, what did you do? That's the old misconception of therapists and psychology. But I think it's more of like, I think 80% of what I've spoken to people, it's just someone to talk to and just vent things they cannot say to anyone else. They feel they can't, or they're pressured to, like she said. Majority of men nowadays may be doing so. For sure, it's nothing but beneficial. As long as, of course, they're qualified and licensed and everything, and there's not someone reading Cosmopolitan magazine, then go for it.
Right. Well, I mean, I have a lot of male clients who benefit from this for that exact reason, is that they don't have a support system here. And, you know, Dubai is a very metropolitan city, very expat oriented. So there's a lot of people here that don't have families. So for them, it's very difficult to not have anyone to talk to. And sometimes, like you said, you know, they feel like their friends have an agenda or something like that. So essentially, you know, just having a therapist it's a great way to bounce ideas off of even sometimes. But sometimes individuals will go through more difficulties.
So, question: when you say that, first of all, very true, what you're saying. And when you say that sometimes, like, some of your clients, they have like clinical issues and stuff, what are like the typical issues that's found like in men? You know, let's just say men. What are the typical like clinical issues, or like what's the?
Well, I want to say it depends, because it does. I would say that there are a lot of individuals that are experiencing anxiety. Like generalized anxiety disorder, sometimes even panic attacks, sometimes social anxiety. Men are actually underdiagnosed when it comes to depression. And the reason for that is because there's a lot of mental health professionals that usually attribute what they're experiencing to stress at work, which is not necessarily the case. It's actually the most underdiagnosed diagnosis for men in general. But men also experience a lot of depression. And I mean, all of the other ones are there, but then definitely you have personality disorders and things like that. But more often than not, men and women usually experience similar mental health difficulties.
Okay, interesting. And our friend, this Andrew Tate, he has for him, his perspective is quite controversial in a lot of aspects, a lot of his takes. But yeah, he says that, you know, sometimes people get diagnosed with depression too quickly. And because of that, it leads them to taking like antidepressant pills and stuff, when maybe that person just needed to maybe fix certain areas in his life, or there was reasons why he was depressed that he could basically do something about, you know what I mean? Besides just like taking medication and like maybe like painkillers or stuff that would kind of like, it's kind of like escapism to a certain extent. But obviously I'm not expert in this field, that's why I'm asking you, you know, like, but is it something that like some people are just depressed, they're just like born depressed, or is it something that's like they're just innately depressed, or is it because, let's say, like for him, he says that if you improve your life will be better and you'd have less reason to be depressed, is basically his kind of take.
You know, in general, I'm not a fan of if-then statements. So if you do this, then you'll be like this, right? That's very black and white in thinking, and I don't agree with things like that, because you're missing out on the majority of individuals. You're just kind of using what I think is the kind of like the weakest form of an argument, which is anecdotal. The reality is that yes, there are individuals that experience depressive symptoms that with certain lifestyle changes, certain protective factors added, they can definitely benefit from that. And then there are individuals that require medication like antidepressants. However, it really just depends on the person. Now, is it true to say that some individuals have been misdiagnosed? Of course. I mean, I can't say no, because in the end, doctors are humans, and I'm sure there are many doctors that have made mistakes. To say that all you need to do is change your lifestyle and then the depression will go away, absolutely not. Because it's the equivalent of saying something like, if you have cancer that runs in your family, then you are predisposed to cancer. Right? And so as you grow up in life, saying, okay, if you just eat healthy and do these things, you will avoid cancer. That's not necessarily correct, because there are a lot of individuals, they have a very healthy lifestyle. They've never smoked a cigarette in their life, and they develop lung cancer. Right? So essentially we can't make these quick if-then statements. They're too black and white. They're not based on reality. However, what I can say is that definitely as a psychologist, I don't jump to medication automatically. That's not my number one go-to, but this is not to say that medication isn't helpful. What I usually start with is lifestyle, how they eat, how they sleep, whether or not they're exercising, meditation, prayer, any type of protective factors. All of these things are very important. And we start with therapy first. And if we feel like we just keep hitting a roadblock, then we have to say to ourselves that maybe their medication can be very helpful. It's the equivalent of somebody who has diabetes. They can change their lifestyle, but it doesn't mean that they may not necessarily require the medication moving forward. That's diabetes too. So essentially, when you're talking about any type of mental health disorder, you have to look at it from a holistic perspective rather than just a black and white perspective of if you do this, then that. I mean, because even medication alone isn't good enough. Right?
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I think everyone's different. Every case is different. She might be seeing someone who could be having medical issues for sure. Then you need certain things to tame them medically. I think there's a limit what you can do to them. But everyone's different. I think it's like how long's a piece of string. Everyone will be different. Everyone will be judged differently. It depends on the scale.
Yeah.
For sure, lifestyle changes could be a factor. But again, it could be the stress of their relationship, environment. For example, usually men complain about they've got all this pressure to provide for the family. If they don't, what happens? Yeah. The wife's got a friend next door. She has this Chanel bag. Or he's got this car. They went to Disneyland. They couldn't go. He has to keep struggling. He's lost his job. He can't tell the wife. That kind of inbuilt pressure. He can't talk to anyone. He feels if he does, everyone's going to disown him. So these kind of factors, a lifestyle change, not really going to work for him. He needs to mentally come stable and realize that it's not the end all. So everyone is different.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, so obviously doctor's here, and obviously she doesn't have much time. Calendar's packed out. But before she only has like a little bit left. I wanted to ask you, Tam, if you have anything like say, now that you have a doctor in front of you, if there's any questions you were wondering, if you had, maybe some things, maybe not problems, but let's say some kind of like issues, challenges that you face in your life. Were there any times where, let's say, she mentioned panic attacks, for example. Have you ever had panic attacks? Is there anything that you would like the doctors, I would not say advice, but what's the right word, guidance or thoughts?
Well, I don't know how comfortable you would be to talk about something so personal.
I've never had a panic attack. I think my only thing used to be I used to hate turbulence.
Open space.
I'm not.
I don't know how comfortable I am to do this, to be honest.
No, for me, like I said, alhamdulillah, I'm blessed where I got to the age where I'm mature and I don't let myself get so into materialistic things or chase certain vices where, I've never touched alcohol in my life. So I'm not like that kind of, my daughters, my family, mum, my atmosphere in my workplace. It's just like, You
never had any mental health issues? Ever?
I don't know. You can ask my wife. No. Yeah, I've got OCD habits. Like I have a little twitch. Everyone will see me on YouTube. Why is he always doing this? It's twitches and Lisa OCD. Like everything. Like I look at your books, I have to have them aligned. No creases. My wardrobe is different colors. Like cleanliness. I'm very I have to wash my hands. Like these little things. But over the years, since I've had kids, that's gone out of the window when they come and throw their spaghetti bolognese. And like, that's helped me.
Yeah.
But only thing I used to have was I used to hate turbulence on a plane. I used to hate turbulence on a plane, no matter where I was. I would sit up. It could be the best class in the plane, and I'll be like, you know, because why? Because you don't feel in control. Like, rather on a boat, you think you can jump, you can survive. Put me in the Titanic, I would have survived. On a plane, there's no way. But then, even with age, I realized, and the more I read, for me, Islam and the Quran and how it's set, like destiny and everything's set, and whatever you do will happen. Whatever you think you can do, it's what's meant to be will be. And then I overcome like this. But no, never really been one for depression or stress on things. That
Stress?
would only come.
No stress. You have so much pressure.
No, because I believe in receive Islamically, like work as much as you can, as hard as you can. But the end goal, Allah, what is meant for you will be. So I could work my whole life and become just an average Joe, or I could be a billionaire overnight. It's whatever Allah set for me, whoever I marry, when I'm born, die. My main goal is just, the stress will be when my girls are teenagers and keeping these perverted men who I know, because I'm around men, these sleazeballs away. That's going to be my only stress, staying alive long enough to see them married and successful. So that's it really for me. My only stress is if they're sick. It's different when you get older and you have kids. Your whole mentality changes for me. But I've always a very calm, collected kind of person. I've always been
composed.
Yeah, like it's just the way I think. Look at life. I've always said it's set. It's the qadr of Allah. I've always believed. But even work and try and do what you can. But I've always believed the outcome's the outcome. So whatever I do.
Yeah, but also I know, like you say, whatever you like, God has written already for you, the sustenance. You know what I mean? And that is in Islam. But obviously, it's true that God helps those who help themselves, like you said, when you try hard. So there's still stress for me in the sense where it's like, yeah, of course, it comes from God, but God helps those who help themselves. So how hard am I helping myself? You know, how much more help could I? How much more could I be increasing my chances?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
think, yeah, but especially you're in this bubble. You're still young. You're around that circle of YouTube. For you, we need the doctor, because in your circle, everyone's trying to be something and this, and it's very dangerous. I see the younger generation, because you're all my friends, the younger YouTubers, and it's very dangerous because everyone's trying to be better than the other person, better content, wants to be like the American audience with the watches, the cars, then they want to be Dan Bilzerian and Andrew Tate, like, and they're chasing things, and they feel, I feel sorry for some of YouTube. They go to these events and they feel they didn't come in the right car and this. And it's unfortunate. They've got this pressure of having to represent in something so fickle, you know. And I think people should stop doing that. Work hard, everything, but like, for me, my best advice: be around your family. When you get to my age a little bit, not that I'm that old, but I've experienced some friends dying. I had a coach who worked for me for 12 years. Out of nowhere, cancer, died in 6 months. He had stage 4. He never realized.
Oh, Majid.
Yeah, it's the twin. Yeah. So when you see that, you realize what, like, you stress about. Like, life is like, why are you stressed about a bill or looking like this? For me, one day is gone and went. Now he's just a Facebook memory. Whatever you think, every year they'll be like, I remember the tributes people post. People don't care, only the true ones. So be around your family, loved ones, work, enjoy what you can, travel if you can, do what you can, but don't just be the best of yourself. Otherwise, you're like the donkey with the carrot and you're never going to get it. And I see that a lot in this influencer market, especially in Dubai.
Keeping up with the Joneses.
All these shows, Dubai Bling, this, that. Everyone's trying to be something they're not, and it's just they're going to fall into this deep, dark hole of trying to attain that. Because
you don't like Dubai Bling?
I've never watched it, but it's not my kind of thing, you know. Like it brings no substance. I don't think it's beneficial to anyone, in my opinion. It doesn't bring any benefits for me to watch. Like just people showing off the lifestyle. I don't care, you know. That's my opinion.
You mentioned something very interesting about, and my condolences about the death. And like, I saw this coach a lot on your Instagram. I understand how close to you he was, especially for the gym. And he was like, you know, everyone loved him. And I never had a chance to meet the guy, but it seemed like, you know, his impact was felt on a lot of people, you know. But that is something actually I always think about. Like, for me, it's sad kind of that I think about it, but you know, I just know that, like, obviously that day I'm gonna get that call, you know, where someone I love, you know, and is gonna pass away. And something I think about a lot in terms of like I know at that point I can't, like, without a doubt, like, especially if it's like, you know, one of my parents or something, like, it would be like the worst day of my life, you know, guaranteed. And I never understood like how people get over something like that, you know, like a loss like that. And
well, that, and everyone's different. For me, like it says in the Quran, Allah does not burn a soul more than it can bear. We're built, this is part of the life cycle of life. You're going to have ups and downs. Everyone will be, and there's going to be these tribulations. But we're built in a way where we can overcome this. You see the big picture, like the doctor will deal with the patients differently. We believe in heaven and everything after, and we know there's a purpose in life. So, of course, I'll be the same. Like, I've even got a pet dog. If my dog goes, it's going to destroy me. 13 years around me. So it's like anyone. It becomes everyday kind of thing. You see the same person, a routine. Yeah. When the routine changes, people are lost. You must see it a lot.
Yeah,
when
it's not even routine, it's like your everything.
Yeah, but it's like a routine as well. If you really think about it in a logical perspective, it's like work. Someone loses their everyday 9 to 5, this, that, or that girl that he's been with 13 years leaves him. He's stuck there like, what do I do now? I have no social. I don't know how to meet someone. And they get scared. It's like this, but we have to think, that's why I recommend to the Muslim younger guys to stay close to Islam too, read the Quran and pray and follow the Prophet, peace be upon him, and don't get too brought into this kind of artificial thing where the purpose of life and these things will happen, you know how to deal with it, otherwise you're going to be lost, So everyone's going to deal with it differently, but have some kind of faith helps a lot, in my opinion. For me, it's helped a lot.
I think faith is very important. It's one of, very significant protective factors that we consider. I think the closer you are to religion, whatever your religion is, right? I think even if you're a spiritual person and you don't follow an actual religion, whatever it is, that could be very powerful. But in general, of course, it is very difficult to lose anything. And when we talk about grief, it's not just grief of like a death, but it could be of a loss of someone, like a friend that you never see again, or you stop talking to a girlfriend, a boyfriend, whatever it is. So essentially, like, you're going to go through different experiences and different emotions, and I think once you get to that level of acceptance and finding meaning in the loss that you had, that's where you truly are able to kind of move forward, because you never really forget anybody that mattered to you in life. It's just a matter of how you recognize that reality is that life will move forward, and you can honor them by honoring yourself and honoring, their existence in your life. And so I think it's very powerful. Of course, in many different religions, they talk about this idea of acceptance, and the more that you accept the situation that's around you, not from a defeatist perspective or a resignation, but just from this is what it is, and how can I use this to make myself grow? I think that's very powerful when it comes to death as well.
Thanks, Ahmed, on this Thursday morning talking about death, depression. And,
so sad, honestly, but just the topics that need to be like...
one thing before you go, I'll ask you. It came up the other day. I was watching a documentary of a guy who's up for parole soon. He was in America. He was like, I think 7 or 8, and he killed his baby sister. I'm not sure you saw the story. Insane crime, like he butchered her. He always had these tendencies, and the mother said, don't give him parole, he might kill me. Cases like this, I know it's hard to say. Do you believe someone can be born, a child can be born evil, or is it a circumstance of the house? Or
good question.
Just for me, I've got kids. To think he was 7, I'll try and find a story after we finish. But he's up for parole, I think 2025, and the mother's saying, "Look, I'm scared he'll come out and kill me." He has an IQ of 140 or something. He's very smart, calculated. But I'm thinking, still 7 years old. Mm-hmm. For me, I'm a father. Like. It doesn't make sense to me, that...
Yeah, how at 7 is he that, like...
Yeah, calculated. I mean...
It is there. So we have something called antisocial personality disorder. It's more commonly known as the psychopath or the sociopath amongst, the laymen. So essentially when we talk about antisocial personality disorder and psychopaths and sociopaths, we actually have seen a physiological difference in the brain, and the part that registers empathy, and that can register right and wrong. So that's something that you're born with. So it's actually a deficit in the brain. So there are quite a few individuals that are like that, not very high in percentage. However, what we do notice is that sometimes those individuals can develop and work towards not empathy, but they can work towards being productive members of society. Whereas those that are born in very adverse experiences in their childhood with abuse or any kind of neglect and traumatic experiences as their kids, they can develop more violent tendencies. So yes, it is possible. It's just,
wow. Because still as a child, it's so hard to deal with these kind of cases because it's sickening.
What do you do? Yeah.
But it's still a child, it's a crazy thing.
You can't just throw him in jail forever,
Jail for his whole life since 7 with authorities. Obviously, he's no chance to be able to develop in life. So I'm just thinking, with these cases, what could you do with them? Like, it's just scary, you know? Because then again, he has no, like you said, he's introverted. He'll never be able to deal with the public. He's never been around the era of computers, Apple, iPhone, social media, cartoons. So
he missed everything. Like.
Yeah, and he's a recluse now. So it really, maybe he cannot be released. It was quite fascinating. I was watching it, thinking, how would you deal with something like this? It's just insane. God forbid anyone has to.
Yeah. And part of your job is a suicide interventionist. Mm-hmm. And I find that extremely interesting. What is that exactly like?
Well, basically what it means is it's an individual who's trained to interfere when a person is in the moment trying to commit suicide.
In that moment, like...
Correct.
Okay.
So in the moment, they either want to hurt themselves, kill themselves, or do something quite violent to themselves. So that's basically what that is.
Damn. A lot of times, some people don't even show signs, do they? Like, it must be hard to... A lot of people... We had an experience, unfortunately, around someone. We never saw a sign the night before they did it, smiling.
No way.
Yeah, literally. Had no clue. Then after, went through their phone and you didn't realize what's going on. They even went that night to buy snacks to have and relax. So the intentions were to chill, watch a movie, but we got 6, 7 in the morning, kill themselves. So
damn.
There are cases.
Someone who works for me.
Yeah, there are cases that are like that, and then there are cases where they will show signs that they'll actually hint at things because they're hoping that somebody catches on.
Yeah, so, they're seeking help, without being obvious.
And with suicide, I know it's a very controversial topic because of the religious factor to it in many cases, but most people misunderstand suicide and they say it's a very selfish act. Like people are killing themselves and they're not caring about other individuals, but actually the individual who wants to kill themselves is thinking that everybody else around them would be better off without them. And that life would be better for everyone if they didn't exist.
So they think they're being selfless.
From their perspective, it's kind of like I'm saving everyone around me because I'm such a burden on everyone else. And it's just they would be better off if I didn't exist. And so for them, that's how hopeless and helpless they experience their existence. And so they think, if I'm gone, everybody else would be happy. So it's actually it doesn't come from a place of selfishness for them. It comes from a place of, I want to save everybody else around me. This is not to encourage in any way, shape, or form suicidal behavior. However, it is to kind of understand that people don't want to die. That's not in our nature, right? Our nature is to protect ourselves from dying. However, when we get to a place where it's so dark that you can't even see anything around you, and sometimes those individuals are people that don't have any support system and they don't have anybody that they feel like they can talk to, and at the same time they feel a sense of worthlessness and like utter worthlessness, that their existence is really, it matters to absolutely nobody. And so that experience is what usually will lead people to kind of think of that.
Damn. Yeah. But that must be like top 3 most scariest or most pressured jobs in the world. I feel like it's you're dealing with such a insane situation. I can't imagine the pressure you have, when you're is it on a call or in person? I don't know.
It depends. It could be either. I mean, it's thankfully it's not something that I experience all the time, thankfully. But unfortunately, I've had one death in my experience, suicide, in the almost 18 years that I've been doing this now. So it's hopefully going to be the only one that I've ever experienced, but yes, it's
the pressure, and I can't imagine what I would do in this situation.
Well, there is an understanding that there's only so much you can do, right? Yeah. In the end, if somebody has decided to go, they're going to go, regardless of what you say and what you do. It's more about just doing everything that you can to bring up protective factors, to try to get them to see a different perspective so that they can see, even if it's a slight glimmer of hope. So that's essentially what we're trying to do. But in the end, it's not something that we can absolutely prevent if that's where that person is going.
Damn. So have there been times where they call you and you're with the guy in person, or is it on the phone, or has it been in person times as well?
I've had a couple of in-person ones when I used to live in Canada. However, here mostly it's over the phone.
All right. So there it's where they're about to jump off a bridge or something like that?
It depends. There have been a couple of different ones.
And statistically, has it shown over the years, the rates are tripling compared to the old. Is it as a fact? Do you think it's due to these social media factors, society having to chase? I mean, what factors contributing to this influx of men and, for example, men or a lot more suicides? And I remember when I was younger, I never used to hear much about it. Maybe it was like put in a corner, maybe by the media.
People didn't discuss it. He had a heart attack.
Yeah,
was usually
I think
the
also
one.
it could be that people wanted to hide it, but now it's more prevalent. I think just shows the stress of society or aspiring to be someone or whatever, or trying to find a perfect partner, whatever it could be.
Especially nowadays, even sometimes famous people, like people you thought they had everything, like in their life that society would think that you'd want in your life. Like, you know, they had the money, they had the women, they had the fame, everything
that just goes to show these
someone
things
young
are not what,
yeah.
these things are not really what you need.
You're barking up the wrong
And it
tree.
also goes to show that it's not the lifestyle.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Depression could be experienced by absolutely anybody. So anyone can have depression and anybody can experience suicidal thoughts. And I think on some level, when you really dig deep, we've all had a thought that's kind of been not suicidal, but dark. Like, what would be if I wasn't here? Like, how would life be if I wasn't here? Just that kind of dark thought where you're just kind of like thinking of it, maybe not considering it or anything like that.
Yeah, thoughts just come in our brains that we don't control.
Yeah,
We're
these
not
are thoughts that come up. However, I think it's important to also recognize that our protective factors help us a lot. So when we have family that's quite supportive, or religion that can be very supportive, or friends that we can talk to, all of these things can really help us kind of get out of these situations. But the reality is that unfortunately the world has become a lot more individualistic. Yeah. And so we've gotten to a place where people aren't really checking in with each other. It's very superficially done, like, how are you doing? And then just okay, and then we move on. Whereas nobody's really taking the time to ask. Well, you can't when your head is in the phone all the time, so it's very hard to do that. And I think, I'm sure you see it in your line of work when you see a lot of people are just like constantly on their phone. Yeah, they're not really caring that much.
And like you said, especially in UAE, people might stay here for 6 months, 1 year. You build a rapport, you have a friend, that friend's just gone. I'm traveling back to the US, I'm going to Finland.
In and out.
So they're like, okay, they've left, you know. And I see it a lot sometimes, and I think people, should be more like, you know, off the phone like the old days, checking on people, see them, your neighbours. I mean, these big apartment complexes, you know, you don't even know the neighbours. It could be one person next door, God forbid. And sometimes I used to think this as well. What if someone had an accident or something happened? That body could be there for days, God forbid, you know. That's how, like,
detached.
Society, like no one's got any in touch with anyone. It's a shame, It's these mobile phones and things like this, so people are just worrying about other people on TikTok and Instagram scrolling.
Oh, it's a great way to escape the reality if you're unhappy, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Escapism.
Some people do social media, some overeat,
Yeah, or alcohol or drugs or, you know, or even, even gaming. Whatever you use in excess.
Concerts, music,
You know, it's anything that you're using in excess to a place where you're actually removing yourself from the presence of your existence. I think that is a form of escapism. And that could be done through absolutely anything. Even if you're constantly meditating over and over and over again, but really you're not meditating, that in and of itself could be a form of escapism. The reality is that we need to look inwards and we need to say to ourselves, okay, what am I doing that's contributing to good things in my life, and what am I doing that needs to change? And that kind of realization and that knowledge, introspection, gives us an opportunity to really get ourselves to where we want to be in life.
For sure.
Yeah.
Agree, 100%.
Very, very, very interesting stuff. Yeah, and I think like nowadays, like I'm sure maybe you've seen more people come to therapists, and you know, more people have that conversation and open up, and hopefully, I think as time goes on, I think I do see like the problem getting a bit like, or you know, society moving towards a better kind of resolution for this. Like, you know, basically I'm saying the trend is the future is bright, I think, in terms of like mental health, especially with now you becoming like people who study psychology becoming more public, and you're doing stuff like this. I think it's really good. But also I think it's also kind of interesting because, you know, you kind of have to like put yourself on social media, and you kind of have to have like a social media presence, but at the same time you understand probably, because for me, like a lot of like my livelihood, like I have an influencer marketing agency, so a lot of my livelihood comes from social media, and I understand how toxic it is. And even for someone like you, you know, you own a business as well, you own a gym in Dubai, but you know what I mean. Like you have to use social media for work, but you have the problems of social media, and you know all the problems that arise with it.
Earlier, it depends how you use it. You can use it for benefits. There's many beneficial ways. I think you see Dubai police, government. I think everyone's there because everyone's on the phone. So the only way, no one buys magazines anymore. Newspapers. See, that's the only way to reach out. And that could be the one. She could get that one case which is on TikTok
Exactly,
or something, goes, okay, let me DM her and meet her. So, yeah, you have to use it. We've got to get with the times. I used to use CD players, VHS, now we don't. Times change, evolve, but just use it for the good. It's like anything. She said, extremes of everything is bad. Just use it to a productive way, I believe.
But
just
also,
like gym, just like fitness, not using
Yeah.
substances, steroids, don't go extreme with diets, crazy way, it's just unhealthy. So it's like anything, moderation.
And I think, like you said, it's how you use it, right? So this is really important because I use social media. I mean, you won't see me on my social media accounts. Except during COVID, I did a lot of reels. But other than that, most of my content is information. So I'm trying to spread information to individuals. Now, you're right. I get a lot of people who do send me a message and they'll say, you know, like, this is going on with me. What should I do? And I try to help as much as I can. The reality, though, is when we talk about mental health, and it's actually the phrase that I hate the most, is this idea of mental health. There's no such thing as mental health, right? It's health. Because essentially you can't have mental health without your brain. And your brain is an organ just like everything else.
True.
And if anything, we talk about the second brain, which is your gut, which is essentially also very much an organ in your body. So or different organs put together. So we cannot discuss mental health without physical health.
Yeah, 100%.
And so unfortunately, we have a lot of people who are trying to get, you know, more and more help, but you know, insurance doesn't cover it. It's too expensive, things like that. So there are a lot of psychologists in the city that are trying to do their best and like reducing prices, giving discounted
How much does it cost,
rates.
by the way, out of curiosity?
It depends on the center, to be honest. I mean, some centers start at $750, some centers are $650, correct.
So like,
and some
$200.
$900. I mean, it really just depends. Now there are insurance companies that definitely cover it, but you know, depending on the center, like I said, for us at our center, we work on a sliding scale. So if someone can't afford it, then we definitely reduce the
And
prices.
you're a co-owner of this clinic, right?
I'm sorry?
You're a co-owner of a clinic as well?
Yes,
Okay,
I don't
okay.
usually discuss that just because like it's not something that it matters.
No, I know, but it's also interesting because like obviously you do a lot. So
I know you're being kind. I appreciate that. Thank you.
And how
But
you
I'm
balance
actually, it
everything,
makes
you know?
me feel very uncomfortable when people talk about what I do. It's just,
You're not used to it. See, she's not into status, this and that. It's different. You see, now that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Someone's content, they don't, you know, it doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah, because I mean, I think like what you had said before, as long as I can help one person,
That's it.
that for me is it makes a world of the difference, because I know I can't help everyone, but if I could at least change one person's world, that for me is massive. And that's why I do a lot of different things, because I know that therapy is amazing in and of itself, but unfortunately there are so many hours in a day and I can't see that many clients because I also have to focus on my mental health as well, right? So that's why I teach. That's why I also train interns. That's why I do a lot of like podcasts or the radio show I do. And I do them because I'm trying to reach as many people.
Yeah.
And I don't know who I'm helping, and that's fine. It's just I'm hoping at least one person got something
out there.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So you said one of the things you see a lot, which is like in men, was like stress, work stress and stuff. You said it's, I think, not diagnosed or
depression sometimes is misdiagnosed.
Okay.
Or not diagnosed. Yeah.
So about work-life stress, I feel like that's something that I struggle with sometimes. You know, I put a lot of pressure on myself. I'm very ambitious. And obviously, of course, I'm young and, you know, everyone says patience. But for me, I kind of want to, you know, reach a certain level before I'm, you know, 25, and then like probably like slow down a bit, get married, you know. So I have a lot of pressure on myself right now.
Oh my God,
So
how
how
old
does
are you? Made me feel so old when he said, when I reach 25. Okay. So, wow.
I'm 20 now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Right.
How old do you think I was, by the way, out of curiosity?
44.
I mean, no, not like that. But
It's the stress. You see
I would
in
have
my
said
eyes.
25.
That's what I'm saying.
I would have
It's the
said
stress.
25. Okay.
It's the same stress I'm telling you about. It's making me look 25. You
But
know?
listen, I mean, work-life balance is important, but not in the sense that people talk about it, right?
Yeah.
It's not like your work and your home life have to be the exact same. That's not going to happen. That's not realistic. But overall, what you want to look at is that you are not just this. You are also a son. You're also a brother. You're also a friend. You're also, and later on, you'll be a husband and you'll be a father. And so it's about looking at all of these different identities that you have. And you're also an individual, right? So giving importance to everything, not just recognizing that this is the only thing that I am, because God forbid, and this happens with a lot of athletes, right? When they lose whatever sport they play, they go into extreme depression because they don't know who they are after that.
Yeah.
So work-life balance is about giving yourself everything. looking at your finances, looking at your friends and your family and your health and your work as well and your progression in life, but also looking at yourself and looking at your community. How do you give back? That's such a big thing that we've been forgetting recently, is giving back. We forget that when we give to other people, we also feel a great sense of happiness as well.
100%, I agree with that. We do a lot of initiatives with my work.
No, it's Ramadan especially, it's like that month of giving.
And that's why I think, like you said, and just, I don't know, but don't put so much on yourself. Like I said, it's this bubble. If you want me to explain, I know all of them, they're not what they put out in this. Be like, whatever will be, just work and enjoy. You're so young, bro.
Yeah.
Why are you stressed about this, you know? Like,
yeah.
wait till
I don't know if he's so young or we're so old.
No.
It's different, you know? It's just, what's going to come, you know?
It's interesting for sure. I mean, is there any questions you have for the doctor as well from your side?
I don't know, like if I were to ask questions, of course I'd book an appointment. I wouldn't do it.
No, not personally. Just like about life, you know? About like her professional stuff, not personally.
No, just like it's interesting. Because I've got many people from medical and doctor backgrounds in my family, so I've always been interested. But it's just, I just think from maybe, unless it was ousted in the old days, I've noticed a huge increase in issues with depression and mental stress and mental health, and I think now it's more prevalent. But again, that could be the media used to hide it in the old days because it was a stigma. But I think nowadays, especially, she mentioned something earlier, because in Islam suicide's haram, but in a way it's worrying, because many people will be suffering from certain things. They might be afraid to say it because they think, it's a sin. I'll go to hell. I've seen a few Muslim people suffering from these things, and I feel sorry for them. So if they're watching, just reach out and don't think about haram halal, because it's, Allah judges will call it, you know, Allah knows best. There's many people drink. There's many worse things, you know. Like, I'm not saying I'm saying you're gonna have these thoughts. Doesn't mean it's haram. It's not a sin.
Thoughts come in your head. You can't control your thoughts.
That's not, and Allah judges on actions. And even then, it doesn't matter. God forbid something happened. You're not going to be judged for something you're not capable of. So just don't have this stigma. I think a lot Muslim communities have a lot of these issues, but never speak. I think it's the Muslim community who don't really go to therapists. I found that in UK. A lot of the marriages, Muslim women were scared to talk and this and that, and it's unfortunate. I think the Muslim community themselves should take a step. It's all in confidentiality, and
they use the sheikh like the therapist sometimes.
No, but I think it's a stigma they're scared of. Sometimes in the old days, the husbands or the families or the mother will say, "Oh, it's haram. You're too forward to do something like this. Why do you need to see someone?" Or
right.
It's a stigma. It's cultural. It's not Islamic actually.
Very
cultural. It's very bad. And in the Muslim community, especially, there's a huge epidemic. Like, the guy, like you said, got to get married by this, I've got to impress my mom, I have to have the kids and the white picket fence and the great big wedding with all the food. So, I think for the Muslims listening, they should not listen to these internet sheikhs and just relax, and just go and if you need someone to speak to, just tap into these places. I think it will help them a lot. The taboo in these communities are very bad. I've noticed this. Muslim communities especially.
And there's a rise in Islamic psychology now, which is really great. They have actually some phenomenal programs at Stanford University, Harvard University as well, where they're kind of integrating Islam and psychology together, so that it can help people kind of move past that stigma that is, you're right, more cultural than it is religious.
It's a cultural thing, for sure. So
I
think, don't feel like Allah hates you or God is nothing like that at all. God's the most merciful. Go and seek help if you are having these issues. Because it's a very big taboo in the Muslim community, as you said. So here, I'm surprised. I think here it's essential to have these centers, because like a private hotline, because for sure, what do they do? And then they have this thought, I'm going to do it, and then my whole family disown me, and I'll go, hell, you know. It must be a scary place some people are. So
I wanted to ask you, what's a lesson you feel like people between, you wish that like people between 15 to 25, like a key lesson you feel like you wish they would learn?
Young men.
How to tidy their room.
Like 15 to 25 is like a broad age range, but you know, is there anything you feel like you wish they would learn? Maybe
just for the men?
Yeah. You can say both, one by one.
I would say, I think off the top of my head, it would definitely be for them to really think of what they value in life. And I think that just goes for both genders, because I think what we're missing is this understanding of what we value. And we don't behave according to our value system anymore. We are behaving according to what we think other people want us to do or want us to think, or what social media is going to like, or things like that. But once you tap into who you truly are and recognize the values that you hold, then and match that to the behaviors that you have, then you start to create this integrated sense of self. And that's very powerful. And I think it's also important to slow down, because life is long, right? And, as much as we can, thankfully we have a longer lifespan than we used to. And if we're as lucky to get to that age, we have a lot of time. So take your time. But more than anything, just really fit into who you are as a person. I think that's extremely important. I think for the men, don't put so much pressure on yourself, because life will... I'm a very firm believer in what is meant to be will be. And I'm a very firm believer also
like what you said.
in this idea that whatever happens for a reason. I'm a very big believer of that. And I think that when we find meaning in everything that we do and everything that happens to us, we're really able to kind of move forward in the path that is meant for us. And I think that can be a very powerful thing for the younger generation. But unfortunately, what's happening with the younger generation is that I feel like you're so involved in other people that you're forgetting that your existence matters just as much. So that's what I would say, or really not succinctly.
Basically, hashtag be yourself, be real.
Yeah, no, but very interesting. Question for both of you then. Dr. You first. What does success look like for you in 5 years from now?
Peace.
Peace.
To be honest, peace. As I find any kind of success to be at peace. So if I'm still a therapist, if I'm teaching, if I'm doing research, it doesn't matter. As long as I'm at peace with myself, and I'm at peace with my values and my behaviors, that for me is success.
I learned recently that, and I found this so interesting, but recently, maybe I wish I knew this earlier, but I feel like there's like a misconception about like happiness. And everyone says they want to be happy, and sometimes we associate happiness with like pleasure. And as I've recently learned, been listening to a lot of podcasts, from a lot of psychologists, and I've understood that basically pleasure is not happiness, but it's more peace. That's happiness,
Right.
And we look for like, and that's what drives like hedonism and stuff. Like we're looking for the next pleasure,
Right.
We want to have fun. We want to like, let's say they want to go to like a party, or, you want all this pleasure because you think that's happiness, but happiness is actually just peace. In fact, too much pleasure is actually painful, It's the worst thing it's the worst thing for us. Sometimes what we actually need is peace. And someone who's peaceful, whenever he does something, he will feel happy, Like there's this quote from Naval, it's like, peace is happiness at rest, and happiness is peace in motion, And I find it so interesting, but when we're kids, we don't know like what's happiness, and we think we want to be happy, and we're just looking for pleasure, go out here, have fun, like go do this, all these activities, you know what I mean? Like just this event, that event, that's like we're trying to bring ourselves all this pleasure thinking that's happiness, but it's actually peace,
Yeah, I think peace coincides for me with acceptance.
Yeah.
This acceptance of where you are, what's happening around you, and what's happening to you as well. I think the younger generation is very much like, I don't accept you speaking to me like this, I'm offended. I don't accept this person has a different opinion, I'm offended. I don't accept that this person doesn't think like me. I'm very much against that. In my mind, I'm like, just accept. It is what it is, but not from a defeatist resignation perspective, but from this is what it is. This is the reality, and it's okay. I might not agree with it. I might disagree with it, and that's also okay. Just having a very much and life rather than a either or. It has to be my way or your way. No, it could be both. It could be we both can coexist and not agree and not be okay with each other, and that's okay. So acceptance and peace are very much connected for me, and I think that's what I think the younger generation is having difficulty with.
With acceptance as well, is that like, I like the idea of it, and I try to practice as much as I can accepting things and saying like, it is what it is, and I found it helps. But also sometimes I feel a bit scared to be too accepting of circumstances, because I feel a small part of me feels it breeds complacency, and like you said, it like from like I don't want to feel like I'm just accepting something that I could make better, and sometimes the more I don't know, maybe this is a misconception, but I feel like the more you're unhappy with the situation, it kind of seems like the more you would actively try to fix it. And this
Well,
could be a
I think
misconception, but-
when I talk about acceptance, I mean accept the things that you can't control.
Okay.
Right? The things that you can do and do very well.
Yeah.
Just accept that there's a limit that you have,
Low
and
control.
that is the reality of life. You know, there are some things you can do, and there are some things you just can't do, and that acceptance is what I think of as peace.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah. Tam, I wanted to ask you, what does success look like in 5 years?
For success is everyone's individual. For me, it's being content. Success for me is just, like I said, having a roof over my head, food in the fridge, and my kids are healthy. For me, that's success. Like,
I feel like you have some bigger goals than that.
no, honestly, like
You wanna
every
expand
go-
the gym. You tell me
No,
like
this
I
is
want the
not
gym
like
to be in
success
every
for me.
country.
This
in
is
the
just
world.
like me keeping busy and ideas, and I like little challenges. This is for myself. I feel I'm very active, but I'm not one to say I want a private jet or I need 20 million. No, my life changed so I have daughters. Just I want them to be good human beings, so everyone can say, you know, you were raised well. Man, your father was a good guy or something like this. So I'm content when I see them. Honestly, like yesterday before iftar, you can hear on the palm this big boom, the cannon.
It's nice.
So go in the garden, you can hear it like it's through the sea. You can hear the sound.
All Dubai traditions.
So I was just looking at my daughters running around, playing there, just having a date. It's just like average thing, nothing like no yacht, no nothing special, just an average. But I was thinking, I'm content, alhamdulillah. You know, alhamdulillah, this is contentness. Like I said, acceptance, peace. You're just relaxed, pray, went to the mosque, saw some friends, ate, chilled. Yeah, I've got my work, but I don't let it overtake my goals. You know, like
That's
for
nice.
me, I work everything around kids pick up when they go to bed, and I work my work. I'm blessed in the way I can.
Yeah.
Work my schedule around that, but that's for me priority. So whatever I do, it has to be around that. I don't want to waste my life working for something and not being around their upbringing. Then I'd feel like, what am I doing it for? Like,
Yeah.
I'm missing the biggest part of life. I'm missing these years. So
True.
for me, then I fail. So everything works around that, and it works for me. So I'm always happy like that because of, you have bad days. For sure, I get angry, I get grumpy, fussy a mess. Kids are kids. But it's just, it's part of life. You're going to have ups and downs, but then you have to just like, you know, grown man, I've got kids. Like, why am I being so like difficult with them? Then you smile, relax, and then,
That's nice.
you know.
I'm very worried that like I will never. I don't know if I would feel that contentment, you know, because I feel like I am this type of person. Like I have goals, and then I look for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing.
I
And
had that too, bro. I wanted to be an athlete. I wanted to do this.
Yeah.
Move. I did.
You did a lot.
You tick the boxes, then you're like, okay, it's not as good as what someone said. I've been in this. It's not all right. I've done it. Now what? What happens? Do you go in a spaceship? Or you drive one car. You drive like, you know what I mean? Like you've driven one car. What? Okay, you have a brand new sports car. Give it 4 weeks. It's the same car.
same thing, yeah.
It's everything. After those 4 weeks, you're bored of it. It's
Yeah.
like life. So what? Then what's next? A spaceship. Then you get the spaceship. You land on the moon. Then you become a robot. What's next? You're always looking. Then you're gonna go crazy.
Yeah.
So
Contentment.
just enjoy. Like just enjoy. I always have that thing. Love what you do and do what you love. You know, I'm in the industry which I love, from sport, seeing the next generation of athletes around that kind of vibe. That's me. And I don't care if it makes a lot of money or no money. At least I enjoy what I do, and I believe that's the best. If you can, that's what I say.
Yeah.
Don't do nothing to, like she said, doctor said, impress or try and be another personality. It's like Andrew Tate. He's like my brother, good guy, but too many people are trying to aspire. They're not him. He's one who's made it. He's very successful. And many people are going out of their way to be that.
They have the
They're not
attitude but without
individual.
the work.
Yeah, and it's just like, be yourself. Be whatever you can be to the best you can be, you know? Who's to say someone with money is better than a janitor or better than this guy or better than that?
Yeah.
You can't. How do you judge it? From bank balance? That's not how you judge it.
No.
You know? So each their own. I think the young kids have to stop stressing about these things. A lot of these Instagram muscles are fake. They're all filtered. They're not look like they are. They're not as tough as they are. They're not as big as they are. The women too. They're not as rich as they are. They're all filtered. They're not these. You know, don't chase things which they're not doing themselves.
Yeah.
You know, and even if they are, good luck to them. I think find yourself, like Doc said. You have to find yourself, man, and then you'll just relax. Whatever you do, and what's gonna be for you, what will come to you will come to you.
Yeah.
You find a wife or kid or whatever you want. It'll just you'll suck that kind of energy towards you. What is for you?
I think having
Sorry.
that. Yeah. Sorry.
I have to actually head out.
Okay,
I'm really sorry.
No
but
worries.
thank you.
Pleasure.
Very
Pleasure.
Thank you so
Thank you
much
so
for
much.
having us, Doctor. All right. What are the happiest and saddest moments of your life?
Happiest there's many. Well, many in sport, career.
If you had to pick one.
It's impossible to pick one. Happiest moment. birth of my children. I think, yeah.
Which child?
They're both twins.
Oh, they're twins.
So there's a minute difference. Both, yeah.
Wow, mashallah. And saddest?
Saddest?
Maybe when you had a bad fight or something.
I don't know, saddest moment. It might come soon when I catch a few people who've been talking shit.
But bro, I thought the therapist was here. I thought you should say like, you know, some problems you were dealing with, you know.
No.
Maybe you open up about some challenges you've been facing.
You wanted me to have a shrink interview live on TV? No way.
I wanted the big Tam Khan to really shed a tear, you know.
Come on, yeah, I did it. I stuck a screwdriver in that guy's throat when I was 15. I'm joking, bro. I didn't.
I thought you'd be like, you know, like, actually, you know, like I have this big front. You know?
I thought, imagine she's one of those who's like, she's cool. I like her intellectual.
No, bro, I don't want to set you up.
If she was one of those people who came out of, you have muscles because you're insecure. Really, you're that underneath. You know, those ones who use that. I'm like, what? I thought she'd be one of them, you know?
No.
You put this on as a persona.
No, I'm not.
No, I'm just laughing.
No, I didn't want to have.
She was good. She's really good.
No, bro, like we're friends, bro. I want just to have a good conversation.
Yeah,
someone
cool.
good, you know, interesting, like perspective, you know.
Yeah, it's better than
bring different perspectives, you know. But obviously, it has to be experts. You know, just can't bring any random person who doesn't know what they're talking about just to argue. It's not like it's a serious show, you know what I mean? But yeah, honestly, I did like all of your answers, bro. I think like, and this is my first time, you know, me and you having like a deep conversation. Obviously, we've met a few times in like events, but we've never really spoken direct to it. And I like that you have this kind of like, you know, contentment, you know, like contentment.
Yeah, but
it's so important. You have like very, I think it's maturity, you know, because obviously.
Yes, it's this also, but also, I think Islam. I said to all, if you're Muslim, everyone, be proud of your religion. Practice it and read about it and pray. And the more you pray and the more you read and have knowledge on it, you realize there's nothing to be stressed like about these silly things. Everything's meant to be, and it teaches you how to act as a man or a woman and how to be. Don't flip through, don't be backbiting, don't be.
Were you always this close to God, or is that?
I've always been close to God. Yeah, never practicing fully, but as I get older, but I've never used drugs, alcohol. I've always been God fearing and knew the truth. But the older you get, the more wise you get. But I've seen a lot, and I'm quite hard headed. It's very hard to tell me what to do or influence me or say this. But even more recently, the last 10, 15 years, you become closer because you realize society is disgusting now, and I think now. More than ever, people should see, look, Islam's so perfect, or religion, whichever you are, like, God, don't chase these vices, these agendas, this LGBTQ, all this extreme feminism, extreme wannabe gangsters and this, that. Just be real, and the more you chase it, you're never going to be content. And I notice it. I'm around guys every day, thousands.
You don't want to be a billionaire? It's not a goal?
No, like, of course, like, if I'm a billionaire, but it wouldn't, like, me having $1 billion or $100 million, it's going to be the same for me. I mean, what can't you do at $50 million, which you could do, you know?
I don't think it's about the exact money, though. I think it's two things. Number one, it's more like the achievement of having that billion, like that you achieve that. And number two, is like the person that you have to become to earn that billion. Like, you know, all the traits that you have to have, you know, hardworking, perseverance,
maybe
teamwork,
not. Maybe it's a crypto nerds made it. It doesn't mean it's hardworking, you know?
But for me, the way I'm doing it, in order to become a billion, it wouldn't be like from a raffle or crypto. It would be like, you know, grinding.
What will it do? So you've reached $1 billion. What, say, inshallah, you do. What's it going to do for you? Like, you've hit $1 billion, then what? Yeah. Then you're going to be in the billionaires list, and they're going to be like, you're bottom of our list. Then you've got to achieve for them.
Yeah, bottom of the billionaires list.
Yeah. There's things I don't care, bro. Like, money comes and goes, and it's just like, bro, it's like YouTubers here who portray, I'm this money guy, I'm this, that, I'm rich. They don't have money. They're fake. You know what I'm saying? They're fake. They're fake. They put this whole persona on to the point where they got hired. They don't have their own house, have their own car, they can't afford nothing, but they put all this fake persona because don't just be yourself. And people like realism. People like genuine people. So that's why you get like, I don't know, Mr. Beast is so famous now. So they see what he is, or other influencers. Be yourself. Everyone's got their niche, and just tap into it. Like, you know, just what you're doing is good. Just do it. Don't chase the money. The money comes. It's like in boxing. Never look for the knockout. It never comes. Don't throw it when you least expect, or when you're just going with the flow. It'll come. So don't. It's like the same. Don't chase money. Don't look for women or wife. They all come. When it's meant for you, it's meant for you.
Yeah. And what was the story of? Because we're talking about money right now. What was the story of your first million? How did you make it, and how did it feel?
You know, these, like, for me, I swear, every podcast I've been, watch all of them, strike every. I hate talking about the money and these things. I find it's a sign of arrogance and it's a sin. So
No, but
like you will
I don't
never
think
see me
it's-
posting even my own personal cars or any. I never do it. I never post if I'm in a certain class on a plane. Most of my content you'll see is like Quranic or Hadith.
But
or,
we've seen Bugattis on your
yeah, this
page.
is like, but this was a Mo Vlogs, and this was for fun for a video of Mo Vlogs. Yeah, I blame him, but it was funny. But it's not my Bugatti. But I'll never post what I earn or own or things because I just think.
No, but obviously, I don't think there's anything wrong in Islam about working hard or trying
No,
to.
it's nothing wrong, but I don't like this. That's like how I felt. Or that I swear to you, it doesn't faze me how much I make or whatever. As long as, for me, I'm comfortable to live how I be around my kids and stuff. That's for me. This is priority.
But some people can get inspired by like how you worked.
No, like anything, like you're right. You have to work hard. You have to like. You can't say I want to be this and not work hard. You have to like wake up. It's Ramadan. You're doing your content. It's renting studios, going here, finding guests, editing. The team who are filming this, they have to edit the sound, editing, make the clips. Everything's hard. But if it was easy, everyone would do it.
Yeah, true.
You've got to put the work in. You've got to think outside the box. Find something which is for you, and just keep pushing and just innovating ways and speak to people. My networking is your net worth. So people who are good in what they do or the best, just annoy them, meet them, ask them, pick their brain. What do they do? And you are your friends. Be around.
It's so true. It's the number
Be
one
around
thing, I
people,
think.
not so shallow, but successful people. Not just people who are wasting time. I don't mean like influencers.
No, hardworking people.
Yeah, people, but also just you learn off everyone. Like I came from sport and things like this, and everything I learned was from networking, other people to this.
Yeah.
So like from sport to business to social media, like I never knew what you know. So everything is just it goes on and on to the point where I've got a few other projects I'm working on. So, but I just I enjoy tasks. I enjoy like trying to achieve something which is kind of tough, just because it's like the old thing, men. A lot of men like the woman who doesn't like them. It's a chase. Oh, she thinks I'm ugly, she doesn't like me, and they'll chase more. If a girl really likes them, they don't pay her attention. It's the same thing in business.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, you have to be hardworking and discipline. It's the same as any sport, athletes, everything. Discipline and hard work is so important.
What would you tell your 19 version if you had the chance?
Oliver told me then, calm down, don't be so aggressive, calm down, and
Would you get in a lot of fights when you were 19?
I was not fights. I was just like I'd have a short fuse or.
But I'm sure you fought a lot growing up
Stupid.
in school.
Huh?
I'm sure you
No
fought.
one used to fight with me. You get to one where no one wants to fight with you. You know, you get the rep, unless you're in other areas. But you just no. My 19-year-old, I would have been being more of a practicing Muslim at that age. Stayed close to Allah from early, like close to Allah always, but stayed on the right path early because you wouldn't have made silly haram mistakes.
Yeah.
Because like tomorrow never comes. Imagine like someone told me, the sheikh, he said, imagine you're drinking alcohol and you're in a club and you forget to call your mother's died. Your janazah prayers are not even accepted.
Damn.
Imagine.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, you're right. He goes, imagine. Like, you know, tomorrow never comes. Live like, you know, live like in a halal way, but the best, just enjoy because tomorrow does never come.
You only have this moment right now.
Yeah, you don't know. Like I could have a heart attack now. I could have a crash when I leave. You could, so God forbid, you know, you don't know.
True. Any moment. That's wild. Do you ever wake up like some days and just feel like I'm not motivated today? Right?
Yeah, like.
Do you ever
everyone
wake
has
up and doing nothing the whole day? Just
No, it's hard. I've got kids. You can't. They're screaming like.
No, but like, I mean kid stuff. But I mean like work wise, or you know, you ever wake up one day and just say no work today?
Alhamdulillah,
You're not motivated.
I'm in a position where I can work from my phone and people. I trust a lot running like the ship in some aspects.
You don't go to the gym every day, or do you have to?
No, I don't have to. I just like to go there. I like to work with my partner and other things we're doing. We've got other projects, but I've worked enough to a point where I can just on my terms in a way. Like I'm still working, but it could be till late night, thinking of ideas, whatever, and trying to find a way to execute it. But yeah, everyone has those days like lazy, tired.
Yeah.
You know, a long night Thorayia, you pray Fajr, you haven't slept properly. It's hard, but then I realised, wow, I'm older now. I've got 2 daughters downstairs. They go to school. Get up, you've got to go do something.
What do you feel like when you pray? Let's talk about praying. 'Cause
Yeah,
I know
praying, I just like it's like speaking.
you've spoken to me a bit before about the feelings you feel when you pray and the connection.
It's whatever your stress is. Just sometimes you're stressed, and I say, do 2 sunnah prayers. Whatever the stress is, just do it, and then you'll feel a little bit better. Or if you're about to sin, pray, guys. You know, when you're going to do something haram, pray, so it'll stop you from doing sin. And it's just, it's so like regular. That it's just, for me, it's a necessity.
Do you feel like it has a big impact on your day?
You have to. Like if I miss a prayer or oversleep, it ruins my day. If I miss Fajr or I got a prayer wrong by slipping up or I'm doing some meeting,
You feel so guilty, yeah.
I feel like, why is that before that, you know? You know, I used to get hate. I used to watch boxing and UFC. So in London, you'd stay up or Dubai till 6 a.m. to watch it. You wake up. I think we're waking up all the guys, like room full of guys, to watch two men fight, but we don't wake up for Fajr. I think, how bad is that? We're waking up for something, like, you know?
Yeah.
So it made me think, so yeah, I just feel at ease. When you pray, you feel better. You feel at ease. It's the best. Like even now in Ramadan, it's the best. When I do Thorayia prayers in the evening, masjid, it's long prayers, and you finish, you just feel, it's a good feeling, you know? It's just a good feeling, like, now.
When you pray, do you feel like a connection with God while you're saying the words? That do you feel like you're in His presence? Because, you know, I know some people, like, especially even like my parents, I know like when they go to pray, like, bro, after that, their whole mood is changed. Like, even their like face looks different almost, you know? Like they feel refreshed, and like I've noticed it in real life, you know? And because I think like their prayer has reached a stage where they have like such strong connection that when they pray, they feel like they're talking to God, you know, they're in His presence. And that's what prayer is supposed to be.
Yeah, you're bound to your Creator, but at the same time, for example, you're angry, you know, like you're fighting with someone on the phone, then you do 2 rakahs. After that, call the guy, won't be so angry.
Yeah.
Because you're like, what am I doing? Like, stuff for love. I've just prayed. I can't talk like this. I can't talk like that. Some girl's flirting with you, stuff like you do some sinful thing. Come over. Then you pray. I feel bad now praying. That's what I say. When you pray, it just keeps you in check. And that's why the prayers are separated of 5 times at certain times of the day. So you're always praying in certain aspects, and keeps you in check, keeps you organized, keeps you spiritual, and if you feel mentally strong, like she was saying, what will be, I'm doing everything I can, and inshallah, God willing, I'll achieve it. If I don't, then I know it wasn't for me. Like if something bad happens, I know it's a test and a trial. It's not, I'm bad. It's a test from Allah. How do I, like if you're having a low time, you lost a job, money, or you're having a bad time legally, you say, okay, this is a test. Let's see how I overcome it, and Allah wants you to get close to Him.
You mentioned about the Twitch. Have you ever spoken about it? What?
No, I had loads of switches, bro. I used to like, from fighting mouth guards and like always doing this to OCD to like silly things. My eyelashes, when they get close, I do this. It's just silly things. And when I'm fidgety, if I have a pre-workout, I'm like, people think, is he on cocaine? I'm like that. But
yeah, because I noticed something you did like this. I was wondering.
Yeah, I did. And also from fighting many years, and when you're fighting a fight, you get these little things. It's just.
Yeah. Have you ever been like beaten up badly, like in a fight?
No, not badly. I've been knocked out, but never beaten up badly. Knocked how you don't feel it.
Okay, when you get knocked out, like how do you get up from such a loss like that? Like, were you like, how embarrassed were you in that situation? How did you deal with it?
Depressed, pissed.
Really, huh?
Because it was me. It wasn't like the guy's better. I lost silly because of arrogant and not training. Not training and being arrogant, and you know, Allah punished me for that, for being arrogant. And just go to the drawing board and come back and fight again. But
that day was like shit, man.
Yeah, this like.
Was your wife there watching you?
No, this is much before I was married.
Okay.
I was fighting, and you know, I say to every guy, the best feeling for a man in that kind of lifestyle is winning a fight. There's no feeling, money, women, private jets. Trust me, when you beat a man who's trained 6-7 months to beat your ass, and you beat him up and you're on top of that ring or cage, there's this feeling of a Spartan. It's like you're in the gladiator's pit, and a loss is the lowest. For a really, like, it's the most
feeling.
It's a feeling. I was speaking to Tate once. We're both saying like that feeling you can't beat any fight, whether you're the UFC or Khabib or this level here, it doesn't matter. It's that feeling. Amateur, just you got to experience it once. We'll get you in a YouTube fight.
Yeah, let's
get you on. You'll see. It's just a buzz like no other, man. It is. I can't explain it. It's instill of men, like that kind of physical. I want to be this, you know.
What did your parents think when you went into boxing? I'm sure because bro, we come from similar backgrounds.
The parents.
I'm sure they weren't happy about it.
My mom actually is very tough. She's like she told me to learn how to fight.
Really, your mom?
Yeah, because we're the only Muslim and ethnic like family in this whole area. It was all white and quite
okay.
in those days, racist and stuff. So she goes, you have to be tough. Don't be a bully, but don't take shit off anyone, and just stand up for yourself. So she's installed in me and my brother and all of us as a young age, be strong, be tough, never fear anyone. So at a young age, my mum was the one pushing me, like, you know. But they didn't want me to fight professionally and do this. But I just go to fights and come back. But if I lost, my mum would go, you're embarrassing, you weak, why'd you lose? Not like come
Then
here.
go
son.
to watch your fights? And
No, it's just my brother. I wouldn't tell them I'm fine. I just go, yeah, I'm going out to you. Because it's only the stress, man.
Yeah,
But yeah, my mum was like the boss of the household. Like
what did your dad think?
my dad didn't like. He loved the sport to watch, but he didn't
Were you
want me
very
to do
close
it.
to both your parents, or mostly?
Yeah,
your mom?
very close. But my mummy's boy, like my mum was
Yeah,
very,
yeah.
very. All the boys and mums, like
Yeah.
my mum is like the one that got me close to like praying. All the stories of the prophets and the Quran at an early age. I feared my mum more than police or anyone. It's my mum. If my mum
She was
finds
tough.
out, I was like, oh,
She
my
beat
mum.
you up?
Like my mum, it's just she'd hit you, but you need that. I believe it. That's the best thing. But it's just a fear of my mum finds out I failed an exam. I've done this. If a girl called my house, running to the phone, no, mum was gonna think I'm doing her harm, And but she always said, be tough, be strong, fight, be a man. Like my mum's very like she's a female Andrew Tate, bro.
Really, huh?
Yeah, my mum, she's like that.
Does she like Andrew Tate? Has she met him?
No, she hasn't met him. I haven't probably discussed him because I haven't been UK in such a
Why
long
don't you
time.
move
So
down to Dubai?
yeah, she's gonna come. Inshallah, she's back and forth a lot.
Nice.
But never really asked her about these things. She's not really like in that touch.
Social media,
But she
yeah.
loves Mike Tyson. How he like
She
people
likes
like
Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Khabib.
Yeah,
probably.
she loves see guys. She loves Mike Tyson. When we used to watch him when we
That's
were younger,
sick.
when he bit Holyfield's ear, my mum was cheering.
She used to
saying,
watch
yeah,
boxing.
yeah. She goes, he deserves it. He was headbutting him. So she's
Probably
like that.
Muhammad Ali, big Muhammad Ali fan.
Yeah,
probably.
of course. Everyone loves Ali.
Of course, yeah.
Because Ali, what he stood for, as a
Yeah,
character.
man, he has some videos, and every time I see it, it's still like new, and he just speaks such deep thoughts
Yeah.
sometimes. And they have, there's this question where they ask him, what's the hardest part of your training? And he has the most rigorous training camps and everything. The hard part is staying away from the women and sleeping early. And he's like, that's the hard part, because they thought he's gonna say like, when my coach gives me all these like heavy opponents, he said the hardest part is avoiding the women, avoiding the clubs, avoiding the nightlife.
Yeah, Ali was a legendary.
Yeah.
That guy was like
Fought racism. He fought like real
everything.
topics.
And in a time where not now, anyone can have if I can have a voice, anyone can. Like it's social media, it's easy. But he did it in a time where you could lynched, you could get murdered for being black.
And he didn't care.
He didn't care, but he
And there
stood
was
up to everyone.
When he changed his name, and that guy's like, if you've seen that, I'm sure you've seen the video where he changed his name. So the guy's like, I'm not going to refer to you as Muhammad Ali, I'm going to call you Cassius Clay.
Yeah.
And then he goes in the ring with him, he starts beating up the guy, he's like, what's my name? Say my name. Man, that scene always gets it. Because obviously they didn't want to consider him Muslim, bro.
Yeah.
They wanted him to stay Cassius Clay. They didn't let him have his own name, Muhammad Ali. They didn't let him convert. They didn't want him to talk about Islam and to be a proud black man.
Yeah,
Proud
it was
black
not
Muslim
even,
man.
it was more being a confident black man at a time where the white, unfortunately, and white Americans wanted to keep you constricted and under agenda. If you spoke out,
And he
against
beat
the
up all of
system-
them.
Yeah, so it was scary for them to have black people have a voice and be individuals. They wanted you to be slaves.
Just imagine what they felt when the white people go in the ring and just constantly lose them. You know what I mean? They must have thought like, shit, you know what I mean? This guy, and now he's Muslim as well. It's like, at least he was black but Christian, Before, they must have been so pissed off.
Yeah, Ali, for sure, iconic, bro.
Yeah,
I think he's motivated everyone.
yeah, for sure, 100%. Who would you say inspires you? Besides, like, maybe Andrew Tate, but like, other than him.
Actually, it's like my friend doesn't inspire me. He's like my brother.
Okay,
like,
who inspires you?
I just see he's a brother, and for me, I want justice because he's wrongfully detained and accused of things he's never done.
Do you think the voice notes were AI? Because that's what most people are saying, yeah?
Even if voice notes were not, what's he done? He's having, look at it in the context, he's having a, unfortunately, derogatory sexual conversation with a woman. And look at the whole
Take it
context
out
of
of
it.
context.
Yeah. Bro, you can go through
Manipulated.
anyone's WhatsApps in this room and I can edit things and make you look like a serial killer, a rapist, a murderer,
True.
a gangster, a homosexual, anything. You could just, it's how you pick it. So I know the character, he's one of the best
I've seen
characters,
it.
good guys. It's all rubbish. So yeah, for me, inspiration only is the prophet, peace be upon all the prophets and real people of
Yeah.
stature. I can't, for me, I don't idolize anyone, never will.
I went to a sheikh lecture 2 nights ago, and he's like, man, all you guys are following these influencers. I know one influencer. He had 1.3 billion followers. His name was the Prophet Muhammad.
Yeah.
It's like, we don't think about
2 billion followers now,
2
I
billion
think,
followers.
yeah.
Imagine now, yeah. We don't think about it. Like,
Yeah.
man, this guy lived how long ago? And
Look, we're on a podcast now discussing him.
You know what
Peace
I
be
mean?
upon him. We're like,
we talk about all these other people, and this guy has
one
2
man.
billion people
One
followers.
shepherd who's spread it so far, obviously from the
Literally a
qadr of Allah.
shepherd. He had the small group, and just the way it's not like he went around, just the way he carried himself, just
Yeah,
by
but
his
that's-
actions.
That's
Not
why I
even
say
by-
so. We should all follow the Prophet, peace be upon him, and people like this, because their characteristics were perfect. The way they acted, what they preached, how they dealt with people, how they smiled, they were good to everyone, giving charity, how you deal with your neighbors, your wife, your husband, your children. So this is who you should look up to. And you can take inspiration from a Tate, from a Bill Gates, a Khabib. Take inspiration, learn from it, because look, Tate's come from nothing and he's successful, and what he's done is amazing. Speaks well. He's really good on people. Yeah, how he speaks on.
He came on this podcast.
On a podcast, but how he speaks, like he's very good on the camera. Everything. Like you can take things from him. Khabib's discipline in sport. So you can take attributes, like I said, networking. Take your attributes, but I never look up to or idolize anyone.
Yeah. Very interesting. And do you feel like Andrew is coming out soon? Because
inshallah, I think
tomorrow is potential.
He's not guilty, and I think they have to release him. But I think now they're too embarrassed, the Romanian authorities, because they made such a spectacle, made it so public on the videos, that they have to do something. They're like, we've done all this, we've detained him, we've seized his assets, and there's no evidence. We look like idiots.
There's no evidence at all, in the case. Zero.
It's testimonies of two very unreliable witnesses. So. Who are very, very unreliable.
And whose screenshots have come out that day?
Screenshots, they come out to plan the whole thing, want to be celebrities. One has made numerous claims before of false allegations. One guy killed himself, one guy's in jail, 2 others are living in depression. So she does this as a fix for ruining men's lives. The other one's an escort, prostitute, stripper. So, I mean, these girls wouldn't even be able to be in a jury for a case, let alone valid witnesses, because jurors won't even accept them from their characteristics. So it's all false, and inshallah, like Allah knows best.
Tomorrow's potential.
Tomorrow, I hope he gets released for bail, at least on house arrest, because at least let him be in his house. Like, you have no charges, let him go, at least on bail. Why are you keeping him? He's a flight risk, and take his passport. Have him on a special tag, or have police monitor in the house, whatever. But like, let the guy like groom, or like. You're convicting him before he's guilty before innocent. So it's not fair, and there's no human rights.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And especially like I saw this guy Patrick Ben David, he got an interview with his lawyer.
Yeah.
And even she said like most of the times, especially she could seek the embassy, and the U.S. embassy, they always help their citizens, and he's a U.S. passport holder, but she did feel like they weren't interested in helping her. And
I think unfortunately, there's a lot of hypocrisies with this human rights violations, and they helped an WNBA player in Russia. They literally freed her for doing a crime and swapped her with a Russian arms dealer. Imagine.
Yeah, I saw that. US let go.
Yeah. So Andrew Tate, like, they're not showing. So it's a hypocrisy in what they stand for. But it just goes to show a lot of people dislike him, because he must be saying something right. And Allah knows best, and he'll be free for sure, because he's done nothing. So it's just a matter of time, and being patient and being strong for him.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. We can't experience what he's going through, but just imagine how big he'll be when he's out.
Yeah. And with Ramadan, like, I've seen some of his tweets, and it's so sad. He gets one meal, and by the time it's iftar time, the meal is cold, and it's already like ant infested and shit. So
it's like, again, it's a test from Allah, and
but if anyone can do it, it's him. If anyone can face
he's mentally strong, and it'll make him more stronger, more powerful, and more outspoken.
Yeah. You mentioned about friends and how important it is, and I think for me the number one thing in my life was that changed my thoughts or changed how I acted was my friends group that I had at the time. I want to ask you, like, at this point now, obviously, do you have many close friends? 'Cause, I've not, like, I see you here and there, but I don't know, like, who are like your close? Do you have like a small group of like close friends, or is it like just your brother?
I've got a very small circle, very small.
And how do you
trust them? Good guys, and very good people. They're all mature, like
3-4 people. How many is it?
Yeah, like a few. I've got a few back in UK, but when you get married, have kids, they become your friends, and it's just different. It's just when
you're not able to see them that much.
Yeah, but good people I trust. You know how it is. You see everyone's true colors come out after time, and you get shocked why or what, but Allah shows ways. And I've had many friends over the years, but you see their true colors come out. But small circles all you need, and again, never expect anything from anyone, so that way you'll never be upset. Just be there like friends to socialize. I never expect anything from any of them. So
you talked a bit about death, with the psychologist, and is that something we spoke about? Other deaths, is that something you're afraid of?
I think everyone's scared to die because I'll be afraid of dying not knowing I'm the best Muslim ever I could be. I don't want to go to hell, which I believe if you're sinning, you go. But at the same time, the only thing I'll be afraid is leaving my kids behind and stuff. But the older you get, the more closer to Islam. You don't really get afraid, you know, it's just what's be. But you're more afraid of suffering before death. Like, what is the circumstance of yours? Would it be a cancer? Would it be this? Could it be a murder? But I guess when it happens, it happens.
You can never be murdered, Tam.
Astaghfirullah, don't say that. Now you jinx me. Now this will be the video they play when someone murders me.
Astaghfirullah. Bro, but actually I had a question, and it's a bit random, but it might be a dumb question, but your name is actually Tam?
No, Taimur.
Taimur, huh?
Shofa Taimur, yeah.
Has anyone ever asked you that? I really always
wondered. Yeah, because when I was raised in the UK, no one can pronounce the name, so I thought just cut Tam. In schools, young kids. Yeah, Taimur.
You're Taimur, bro.
Yeah.
Shit, bro, I see you differently now,
Named
bro.
after Taimur Lan, after Genghis Khan. He conquered majority of the world. They call him Tamerlane. My mum named me after him. He was one of the best. Tamerlane. Google him, Tamerlane, Timur Lan. Timur Lang, they call him in English. So he was a Mongolian warrior.
Ah, okay.
I think Uzbekistan, Mongolian era. And he ruled majority of the world. And he was vicious, but Muslim. And he had a lame leg, Tamerlane, because one of his legs was amputated. So my mum named me after him. That's where the name come from, yeah.
Wow, your mom is real. Man, I should do a podcast with your mom. Yeah. I feel like she's so interesting.
Yeah, warrior. So
I never heard like a woman like this, you know.
He's got a statue of him in Uzbekistan. So
what?
Yeah, there's a statue of Timur.
Oh, okay.
In Uzbekistan, Timur. So yeah, Timur.
Yeah, interesting. What does that mean actually in Islam?
I don't know Islamically.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the word is.
Yeah, all right, man. Last question, and then we'll wrap it up. What drives you?
It depends if the Uber guy comes or the chauffeur drives me. Sometimes my driver. What drives me? Nothing. My kids.
What motivates you now? Because obviously
my family, kids. I've got many people I'm responsible for, bro. Many like staff and have kids, nieces, nephews, family members. So that drives me. Just I want everyone comfortable in the class.
You have expansion plans for the gym, other countries, stuff like that?
Yeah, I'm making a franchise book. I'm just finishing a few things. Opening a male grooming salon very soon in a month.
Really?
Yeah, in a month that opens. You got to see it. It's sick.
Wow, nice. Where?
In the same premises. How you see it? It's like grooming, manicure, pedicure, hammam, massage, eventually IVs.
Amazing, yeah, that makes sense. The IV especially because it's recovery.
Yeah, exactly. And next thing, I've got another project I want to get into. Some restaurant projects I'm looking into right now.
Nice.
Just little things.
Anything with Tate?
We had a few. We've got a few plans.
He spoke about one project that he wanted to do on a podcast about the Tate Center or something where there's like coffee and bars.
Yeah, we were doing something actually. We were planning something. Inshallah, so it's something like a little hobby, and just keep busy and just who knows. I just drive, just so.
Another question. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's something I wonder a lot, actually. I was going to ask you. Are you close to Tristan as well? Because I've only seen you with Andrew.
Yeah, no, I know. Because Tristan wasn't around much. He was his younger brother, but yeah, I'm close to him. He's a good guy. It's just Andrew and me, it's more of a bond because
you have a different type of friendship.
Yeah, because we were from the same show. He fought. His first fight was on my show in Essex. It was actually my show in Essex, Ultimate Warrior Challenge, and we have this bond that we're older. But yeah, whenever time Tristan comes out, Tristan's just as funny. Tristan, one of the funniest guys I've ever met, actually. Like, I was with both of them the night before they flew off. We were watching the Morocco-France football game in this restaurant in Media City, just around the corner, having shisha and that. And then they flew like 6 hours later. So that was they were both there that night.
I think a lot of people were asking like why they went to Romania. I think one of the main reasons they went is like I think just so much to see his kids, and stuff like that.
But also they got a house that shows to you they're innocent.
Yeah,
there's nothing going on. They would not go if you're a criminal. You think you've done something, you don't go to that country, do you? That shows to you they know they've done nothing wrong. They're innocent and they have houses there and businesses. So of course they're gonna go check on things. And it was a stop off. And he was flying here on the 30th December. It was all planned. And we're going to do New Year's together and chill, but unfortunately...
Do you still talk to anyone from his team, like his cousin Luke or...
I speak to many people, or close people, and keep checks and everything.
Do they have the same charges on both of them? Because I'm only seeing stuff on Andrew. I'm not seeing much stuff on Tristan. Like
they both have separate charges, and then they've got this kind of criminal organizational, like...
Oh, they have that charge as well?
Yeah,
what
so
are the
they're
charges? I thought the charges are only human trafficking and rape. And I think that's for Andrew.
But one of them is human trafficking, one of them is rape, and both. And it's like they see it as a criminal syndicate.
Racketeering.
No, like as in, organization who does this traffic. It's just, bro, it's so bizarre and it's so bullshit that it's hilarious. It's sometimes you want to laugh, it's that bad. Like nowhere in the world will this hold. Nowhere.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, inshallah, they will be released.
Inshallah, yeah.
And everyone will understand that they're innocent.
Inshallah, yeah. People are going to hate whatever they're going to say, but the
People
main
can say
thing is
whatever
to
they
get them
want,
safe back and chilling, coming here and relaxing.
And it was very good to speak to you, my brother.
You too, bro, inshallah.
You're like a big brother for me.
And thank you for inviting me.
No, it's a pleasure, man. Inshallah, we'll see you more often. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you learned anything, smash the like button, leave a comment.
And don't forget, we were fasting.
Yeah,
it's
that's
very
energy
early.
levels are a bit low.
So apologies if we
Check out Tam on all his socials, Twitter, Instagram, all be linked bio. He has his own podcast. Check it out. Amazing episodes there. Love to learn there. All right, guys, take care. Have a good one. See you. Peace.